speak to Ipswich Town fan Alex from blog Born and Bred 95 ahead of tomorrow's championship opener. Firstly, how did you come to support Ipswich Town? I think like many football fans across the country, my old man was into his football. He supported Ipswich, I supported Ipswich. I used to play on a Saturday morning. Once I had played, we would go home and have Frankfurters before heading off to the Ipswich game in the afternoon. It all started there. I remember jumping around in the lounge listening to the radio with the old man, on more than one occasion. Danny Haynes' winner against Norwich springs to mind. Ipswich was very much a family club. I say was, because in recent times that has changed, in my opinion slightly. I do, however, hope that will all change under Hurst. The people made it a good experience. I can just about remember watching Ipswich play Inter Milan at Portman Road in 2001, and that is when I thought, yeah, I want to be a footballer for Ipswich. Unfortunately, that never materialized. Apparently drinking beer and smoking isn't the ideal diet. It has been tough in recent times. A lot of other footballing fans gave Ipswich a lot of stick for wanting McCarthy to leave. What I don't feel many understood at the time, and maybe some now, is that the majority of Ipswich fans respected and appreciated what he achieved. In particular the few seasons we were in, and near the playoffs, we aren't all mental. It was an incredible achievement in regards to how much money he had at his disposal and where we were finishing. However, it was the style of play that frustrated us. I went to Burton away, and I kid you not, the ball was in the air more time than it was on the ground. Also, the relationship fractured and began to get increasingly worse. This was not the Ipswich I knew and loved. It was falling apart in front of my eyes. His behavior towards town fans was appalling, telling us to F******************. Against Norwich was the final straw. You can't have that negativity, especially when it is at your rival's place. Every away game, he would not thank the away fans, and Ipswich away is pretty decent by the way, but he never seemed to appreciate it. That isn't to say it was all him. A lot of the fans found it difficult watching boring football each week, and they did criticize him, unfairly at times. This all wasn't my Ipswich. We needed a change. That love for Ipswich is certainly coming back, not just in me, but across the whole town. What are your thoughts on how pre-season went for Ipswich? I think it would be incredibly naive to think that pre-season is going to be flawless with a new man in charge, especially with a new style of play and a few new faces. However, I have felt an increased feeling of optimism the longer pre-season has gone on. Maybe I am still riding that optimistic wave I was on with England. I think we have shown how the majority of our games are going to go this season. Tight with a goal in it. I think, and correct me if I am wrong, we have had 3-1-0 wins and a narrow 2-1 loss to West Ham in 4 of our games. The style of play has also changed considerably. We have brought in a few wingers into this squad, something we haven't had for a long time. Our youth setup is pretty decent. There was that clip that I think most have seen when the academy boys passed it out from the GK all the way up the field for a goal. That youth transition with the likes of Dozelenko has been present in pre-season, and we have been treated to some nice team goals. This makes a massive change from a long ball, knock-on, scrappy goal we have become accustomed to. At the time of writing, Ipswich have made a couple of notable signings, including Glenn Edwards from Peterborough and Ellis Harrison from Bristol Rovers. How do you feel the window has gone so far? So far so good. It all depends on what happens with Martin Waghorn. Now, I might get a little stick from some of the Ipswich lot for this, but I feel that £7 million would be excellent value. However, a few years back we sold Murphy to Newcastle. He was our leading scorer and his goals took us to the playoffs. However, we didn't have a replacement, and we really struggled for a long period for goals. That is why I say it depends on Waghorn. If we sell him, it is of paramount importance we have someone lined up. I'm pretty confident he is on his way out. Hurst has said he has spoken to him, yet refused to comment on what the conversation was about. Your guess is as good as mine, but I imagine it about all the speculation and whether he wanted to leave or not. If he wanted to stay, he would have come out and said so. But who can blame him? We don't pay significant wages in comparison to some of the other championship clubs, but if someone asked me to work for them doing the same job for an extra £10,000 a week, I would be on my way. The new boys look good. They are certainly a change to what we have had in recent time. Journeymen or out of contract used to be decent players. Edwards looks a tricky winger who is prepared to take players on. He will create a lot of chances. Peterborough fans didn't want him to go, and how often do you hear opposition fans saying, "You have a good player there," as opposed to, "I hope you have good physios," or the like. Harrison looks like he will notch in a fair few goals, already netting against West Ham. Again, another player praised by his old club. He works hard and is hungry for the chance to play, something that all Ipswich fans appreciate. Hopefully a few more signings before the Blackburn game, as we are still short in a few areas. Most notably CB. We have reinforced this somewhat by bringing in Donation, who looks a good player, with good reviews. Hopefully can add tilt to that list and maybe one or two more in other areas. I have just seen we have had 2 bids turned down for 2 of Hurst's previous players. I must say it is a nice change, paying for decent, young and upcoming players, as opposed to freebies or loans. This season sees a new manager come in at Portman Road, in the form of Paul Hurst from Shrewsbury Town. How did you feel when he was appointed, and has that changed over the time he's been in charge for? I think like many Ipswich fans, we did know who our target man was almost immediately after the departure of McCarthy. Initially, I was excited. He had taken Shrewsbury, on a shoestring balance, to the playoff final. We have been crying out for a young manager for some time. I do think that was down to the style of play we were playing. Since he has been appointed, I have been incredibly impressed. The way in which he talks about the club and how he conducts himself. In a recent interview, he called 3 academy boys into his office and told them to offer the interviewer etc. a cup of tea. I like that. He also has appeared to separate the first team from the rest of the club. Now, I don't mean this is in a negative way. He has made playing for the first team something for young players to strive for. "You're not an Ipswich Town player yet" type of mentality. Recently we had the squad photo, in which he left out 3 academy players, all of which I think people expected to be in the team photo. They weren't. He said they needed to earn it. Again, incredibly impressed. He then added that if they worked hard, and broke into the first team, the whole team would have another photo, this time with that player included. I am impressed with his style of play. High press and players being able to play with freedom. Also, every addition he has made has hit the ground running. My one concern is that his wife and children still live away from Ipswich. This has been the case at any club he has managed. This makes me wonder if he's using Ipswich as a stepping stone onto bigger and better things. If he takes us to the Premiership though, I don't think I will mind that much. What are your Ipswich's strengths and weaknesses? Obviously this is a little difficult to answer now we have a new manager in place with a few new additions. I would say though, if I was pressed, strengths, certainly our GK, the Bartman. He has just returned from the World Cup with Poland, third choice. He is the best GK in the championship. He has saved us so many points over the last few seasons, and because of that, has been awarded the Player of the Season for the last 3 seasons. I am surprised we haven't lost him to a Premiership club. I think Palace were after him at one point. Another strength is certainly our young talent. Young lads like Dozzell, Nidham, and Downs are going to turn into some very good players. Weaknesses, with Hurst, certainly at Shrewsbury, there were a staggering amount of 1-0 wins. Finding the net could become an issue if the whole Waghorn situation isn't resolved quickly. Another weakness is the center of defense. We only had one championship-recognized CB until yesterday. Who is your player to watch and why? Azal? He is going to play for England. He is a fantastic young talent. He was injured last season, having been stretchered off with ligament damage on the first game of last season. His through ball for the goal against West Ham was exceptional. He has a long way to go in terms of regaining full fitness, but he is really turning into an athletic powerhouse. Expect big things. His dad was an Ipswich player as well, and funnily enough both scored on their debuts at the age of 16. Mental, let's get your thoughts on Rovers. What do you make of the transfer business by Tony Mowbray so far? I think getting in Casey Palmer is an excellent bit of business by you lot. Already has some championship experience under his belt. This can only be a positive. If you have him for the season, he will be your main player. Mowbray was, in fact, linked with the Ipswich job before Hurst took over. Would you have taken Mowbray at Portman Road? Yes, absolutely, having been in the Ipswich team that last got to the Premiership. I have a soft spot for him. He has done a brilliant job getting you lads promoted. That isn't to say someone else couldn't have done it, but his managerial CV is looking decent. If you do well this year, I imagine some of the bigger clubs will be sniffing. If you could take one player from Rovers, who would it be and why? Can I pick a player from the past? Morten Gam Peterson, unbelievable player. Presently, I wouldn't mind Danny Graham. I liked him at Swansea and we could do with another attacking option. Finally, a score prediction, Ipswich 1-0 Blackburn. Good luck for the season after Saturday. I imagine coming up from League One will be a challenge, but when a tough gets going, which I imagine it will at times, get behind your boys and you will pull through. Also, what is up with that shirt sponsor? The football season is only a few days away. Respect people and yourself. With the new season, there will be an increase in gambling adverts. Please be responsible and look out for your mates. Thank you to Alex for taking time out to do this preview with us. You can visit his blog here, https://bornandbred95.wordpress.com/ click the links below to read other parts of our match build-up. Opposition in focus, Ipswich Town A, bit.ly/itficwaf preview, Ipswich Town v Rovers, bit.ly/itfic preview.